Good day, everyone. This is Ryan F. Ginaldo. I'm currently studied at St. Paul University, Surigao, taking up Bachelor of Science in Mining Engineering. And this time, I'm going to discuss to you the DENR Administrative Order 2098, Mine Safety and Health Standard. First, we have here the objectives. This order is promulgated for the purpose of to promote a culture of safety and health, to provide for the strict enforcement of safety and health measures, to provide for the effective monitoring systems, inspections, investigations, and inquiries to improve health and safety, to establish tripartite linkages in promoting safety and health matters, to promote training and human resources development, and also to comply with the international law obligations of the government relating to mine safety and health. So let's start with the chapter 1 of these rules and regulations. So first, the section 1, which is all about the accident and illnesses. So in rule number 1, a record shall be kept of all occupational accidents and illnesses occurring in a mine in a form prescribed by the Bureau. Rule number 2, whenever an accident occurs in a mine resulting to the death of or in serious physical injury to one or more persons, the employer or his duly authorized representative shall within 24 hours, immediately by the quickest means available, give notice thereof to the director, regional director, or their duly authorized representatives. Detailed report shall be submitted to the director of regional director or his duly authorized representative within 15 days after notice of knowledge by the employer of the accident. So in rule number 3, when any physical injury results in the death of the persons injured and health-threatening occurrences, the employer or his duly authorized representative must give notice thereof to the director, regional director, or their duly authorized representatives without delay. In rule number 5, monthly employer's report of accident or sickness including damage to property shall be submitted within 15 days after every calendar month to the regional director and director copy furnish the Department of Labor and Employment, Bureau of Working Condition or DOLE BWC. So let's proceed to the chapter 1 section 2, which is the classification of mines and service contractors. So in rule number 7, the purposes of this order, mines or service contractors, shall be classified as follows. When we say Class A, those underground and surface mines or service contractor employing a total of not less than 150 and 250 employees respectively. When we say Class B, those underground and surface mine service contractor employing a total of not less than 50 and 75 employees respectively to not more than 150 and 250 employees respectively. And of course, in Class C, those underground and surface mines or service contractor employing a total of not less than 25 employees and not more than 50 employees respectively to not more than 50 and 75 employees respectively. Then, of course, in Class D, those underground and surface mine service contractor employing a total of not more than 25 and 50 personnel respectively. So another one in section 2, rule number 8, Class A mines and service contractors shall have at least one full-time safety engineer and full-time safety inspector, provided that those underground and surface mines employing more than 150 and 250 employees, respectively, shall have additional safety engineers, safety inspectors, and or deputized safety inspectors as required by the Bureau to have all active working places visited at least once every shift. In rule number 9, Class B mines and service contractors shall have at least one full-time safety engineer and one full-time safety inspector, provided that the same shall have additional safety engineer or inspector as required by the Bureau to have all active workplaces visited at least once every shift. Another one is the section number 3 in chapter 1 is all about the establishment of a safety and health organization. Um, Rule number 12, employers shall establish and provide for a safety and health office which is independent from other offices under the direct and immediate control and supervision of the manager, who shall be primarily responsible for the formulation and effective implementation of the company's safety and health program and enforcement of these rules and regulations. Rule number 13, safety and health office shall be headed by a duly registered safety engineer, and for class D mine, its safety unit shall be headed by a part-time safety engineer. In rule number 14, safety and health practices of every employer shall be monitored and regulated by the Bureau. In section number 4, is all about the qualification of safety men. Rule number 15, all safety engineers and safety inspectors shall be duly registered with the regional office, and the corresponding permit shall be issued for this purpose. Rule number 18, those who have been holding the position of safety engineers or safety inspectors duly registered and approved by the regional office during the time of the promulgation of this order may be registered as such. Then rule number 19, all safety engineer or inspector permits shall be subject to renewal every 3 years with the regional office. Section number 9, it's all about the safety and health standard. So first, sa rule number 31, employers shall provide employees who are involved in mining operation with safety and health training, which shall be incorporated in its annual safety and health program. The safety and health training program shall include but not limited to the following. New employees having no underground mining experience shall receive no less than 24 hours of training if they are to work underground. Shall receive no less than 24 hours of training if they are to work on the surface. Such training shall include instruction of the statutory rights of employees and their representatives, use of self-rescue device where appropriate, and use of respiratory devices where appropriate, hazard recognition, and others. Then all employees shall receive no less than 8 hours of refresher training, no less frequency than once each 12 months. And of course, an employee who is reassigned to a new task in which he or she has no previous work experience shall receive training as required under items A and B. In section 9, also safety and health standard, upon completion of each training program, the employer shall certify that the employee has received that specified training in each subject topic. A machine copy of the certificate for each employee shall be kept by the employer and shall be made available for inspection at the same time at the mine site, and a copy thereof shall be given to each employee at the completion of each training. Rule number 33, employer who willfully make false certification shall be slapped with the necessary fines. Then in chapter 3, section 10, which is the stoppage, resumption, and decommissioning of operation. So first, in cases where mining operation shall be stopped, the manager shall notify the regional director in writing, copy furnished the Bureau as the following: the reason for and planned duration of the stoppage, whether the closure is total or access to underground and or open pit workings is to be maintained. And rule number 35, the manager shall notify the regional director, copy furnished the Bureau, on the resumption of mining operation after stoppage, which contains adequate information to demonstrate that basic mine services and emergency response capacity have been maintained or restored, and details of any substantial changes that have been made to the mining operation at the same time. In section 11, it's all about exploration operations. In rule number 37, no employee shall be permitted to work by the employer in all exploration activities unless the employee is properly oriented and provided with the necessary training to enable the employee to manage the risk associated with the hazard of exploration operations. Rule number 38, Employer shall make accessible to employees in a comprehensible manner a copy of Safe Working in Procedural Manual involving all aspects of exploration works. 39. Employer shall ensure that employees assigned in exploration works are provided with suitable vehicles, first aid kit, and appropriate equipment, which shall also include communication and emergency equipment. In rule number 40, employer shall provide adequate training of employee in safety procedures, whether a helicopter or fixed-winged aircraft is used to exploration work. In chapter number 5, section 12, which is the drilling, Rule 46, drill operators shall inspect all drilling accessories, tools, hoisting cables, hoses, derricks, and platforms on the drilling machine before the start of the drilling operation. Next, drill operators shall see to it that the chuck head, water swivel, drill rod strings, and other pertinent connections are properly tightened and cleared of materials before starting to drill. And also, drill operators shall give sufficient warning before starting the drill engine and commence drilling. And section number 13, so about general provision in underground mining rules. Rule number 56, all underground mines shall have at least 2 interconnected, properly maintained openings to the surface, except mines that have shafts, raises, or any opening in the process of being connected to the surface. Shafts, winzes, raises, drifts, crosscuts, tunnels, inclines, grade slopes for prospecting and exploration, but not for the extractions of mineral under such conditions and with such precautions as the Bureau may require. Then rule number 59, an effective auxiliary lighting shall be provided in any place in the underground mine where persons have to assess ground condition at a distance greater than the effective range of a cap lamp. In rule number 61, the manager shall never allow to storage of flammable liquids or materials within 50-meter radius of any main entrance to the underground mine. Also, in section number 14 in chapter 6, protection against water. Rule number 65, no mine working or opening shall be driven or caused to be driven under rivers, sea, or any known accumulation of standing or running water on the surface with less than 25 meters of back or thickness from the true river bed and the roof of the mine working in massive, unbroken, or unfractured igneous rock nor less than 50 meters back or thickness when the roof of the mine working is broken or fractured rocks. The true depth of the riverbed shall be determined at different points. Deviation from the above requirement shall be subject to the approval of the Bureau. In section 15, chapter 6, is all about subsidence, loss of running ground supports, or in underground mining rules. Rule number 72, all underground employees shall be instructed to recognize signs of impending ground collapse or subsidence. In such cases, the responsible mine officials shall be notified immediately to determine the course of action to be taken. In cases of imminent collapse, alarm shall be sounded and all personnel withdrawn. In section 40, in chapter 7, the general provision and surface mining rules, Rule 358, all other safety and health rules and regulations cited elsewhere in this order which are applicable to surface mining operation are hereby embodied. Rule 359, the vertical height of working benches shall be kept at the maximum reach of the shovel or loader being used. Then rule number 360, the manager shall ensure that the design, layout, construction, and maintenance of any dump or stockpile shall take into account the following factors to minimize the potential instability. First, the nature of material dumped, the size and weight of equipment used, the site condition including stability of the area where it is sited, the drainage condition, and the atmospheric conditions. In Chapter 7, Section 41, the Drilling Operation Surface Mining Rules, Rule 374, when it is necessary for both the operator and helper to leave the equipment, the machine shall be shut down. And in the event of a power failure in the pit, the control of the drill shall be turned to the neutral position until power is restored. And when drilling near the crest of a bank, the drill shall be oriented at right angle and not parallel to the bank. Then, unauthorized persons shall not be permitted to stay on the platform while the drill is in motion. Electrical and power cable repairs shall be done by the authorized electricians only. In section 47, it's all about heavy equipment operation in chapter 8. And Rule 464, only authorized and qualified personnel shall be allowed to operate heavy equipment. Authorized personnel shall be a holder of land transportation office driver's license. In Rule 465, only duly qualified and authorized persons shall be permitted to assist, operate, and maintain any machine of equipment. Equipment operators shall be made responsible for the protection of men and equipment within their scope or jurisdiction. In Chapter 9, Section 48 is all about offshore mining. All requirements, rules, and regulations as imposed by the Maritime Industry Authority and other concerned government agencies shall apply. Vessels shall be equipped with savers, jacket, and lifeboats to a total of at least 1.5 times the number of persons who are on the vessel. Rule 575, adequate and suitable firefighting equipment shall be made available. All supervisors and workers shall be trained on the proper use of firefighting equipment. Rule 577, vessels shall always carry along full-time occupational health nurse, part-time occupational doctor, and first aider as may be deemed necessary by the director and shall be provided with medicines, equipment, and facilities. In Section 49 in Chapter 10 is all about preparation of an emergency response and preparedness program. 637, the employer shall ensure the preparation of an emergency response preparedness program prior to commencement of any mining operation, which shall contain, among others, the following: identification of hazards that might disrupt or cause an emergency of the mine, assess every perceivable risks that may constitute an emergency. And of course, in section number 50 is all about mine blaster foreman in chapter 11. Rule 640, all applicable provisions of the revised implementing rules and regulation of the exclusive law should also form part of this order. 641, a blaster shall be duly registered and currently licensed mining engineer or a professional regulation commission registered mine or quarry foreman. In Chapter 11, Section 57, rules for the transportation, storage, and use of ammonium nitrate oil or ANFO. The employer shall ensure the preparation of an emergency response preparedness program prior to commencement of any mining operation, which shall contain, among others, the following: identification of hazard that might disrupt or cause emergency at the mine, assess every perceivable risk that may constitute an emergency. Of course, the rules and provisions and use of also ANFO and other blasting agents shall be treated as exclusive at all times. ANFO bags and drums, when being handled, shall not be dropped or thrown. Smoking or open flames shall not be allowed when handling ANFO. Good ventilation shall be required when using ANFO as a blasting agent underground, and adequate safeguard against nitrogen dioxide gas shall be made. In section number 63, is all about personal protective equipment in chapter 13. Adequate personal protective equipment shall be provided to all employees and shall be of a type and condition that will not expose the employee at any unnecessary and unavoidable hazards. Persons working in surface mining operations shall be required to wear safety non-metallic or non-conductive hard hats and safety rubber boots for safety shoes. 851, persons going underground shall be required to wear miner's lamps and safety belts. In section number 68, it's all about electrical and mechanical rules in chapter 18. For all electrical installation, operation, and maintenance, the provision of a latest edition of Philippine Electrical Code Parts 1 and 2 as approved by the Institute of Integrated Electrical Engineering shall be followed unless otherwise specified. Rule number 980, for all mechanical installation, the latest provision of the Philippines Mechanical Engineering Code shall be followed unless otherwise specified. Then operation and maintenance of mechanical and electrical machinery and equipment shall, in all cases, be done by the duly authorized persons. The necessary inspection, test, and maintenance records of mechanical and electrical machines shall be compiled and kept in a form prescribed by the Bureau. Then, in Section 76, or the storage for coal in Chapter 22, coal stockpile shall be built on open, clean, well-drained ground far from sources of heat and kept 3 meters within acceptable height of pile. Then foreign matters such as wood, stones, metals, or other combustible materials shall be kept away from the stockpile. Then regular monitoring of coal temperature at stockpile shall be carried out at points not more than 4 meters apart, giving special attention to the corners of the stockpile. Section 88, the penal provisions in Chapter 26. Any employee who violates any of the provisions of this order or commits any unsafe act or cause condition that will endanger himself, other persons, and or company property shall, on the initiative of his employer or upon recommendation of the director or regional director, be subject to disciplinary action. In case of refusal by the employer, the director shall act on the matter accordingly. Then Rule 1209, any employer who violates any of the provisions of this order shall be subject to corresponding penalties prescribed hereunder pursuant to Section 109 and 110 of RA 7942. And that's all for my presentation. Thank you for listening.